Hey, Heather. Brian, George.
Hello.
Good evening.
First, thanks for having me.
Hey, Jessica. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Hello.
Awesome.
Good evening, Jessica.
Good evening.
Hi, Rebecca. How you doing, George? Finishing up dinner?
How you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Hanging in there today. Long day.
Getting my dinner.
You bring dinner for everybody else, huh?
What'd you say, George?
Else.
Oh,
You had we could have a virtual dinner.
What'd you cook, George?
Pardon?
I said, what'd you cook for dinner, George?
Oh, chicken. On the grill tonight. It's still nice out. We only
Yeah, I
got a couple,
grilled burgers today, so.
as long as it stays nice out, I'm going to cook on the grill.
It's beautiful out today.
Yeah, too beautiful. I had to work outside. I had to get the leaves up and do that type of stuff today. What you got to do it before it gets too cold.
It was freezing this morning, then it was like beautiful in the afternoon.
Yep. Yeah, well, in the morning I check all my emails, do all that type of stuff, and then around
I
10.
see you, Joelle. Hi, Miss Renee.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Joelle got tall. Like she got really big.
Joelle's almost as tall as me.
Are you kidding?
She
My baby girl.
is. She almost is as tall as me. She can wear my clothes.
Mora's starting to steal mine.
Now we have competition.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Gillian. Her allergies are bad right now. Terrible.
Mine are starting to get bad.
Yeah, it's been a rough couple days.
And the changing weather doesn't help much.
It doesn't.
And wearing the mask all day doesn't help it either. So
Yeah,
that's what we gotta do.
true indeed.
I'd like to take a minute and introduce our new secretary for curriculum instruction and technology.
Okay.
She'll be taking notes tonight. It's Jessica Barletta. She's to my right in my box.
Good evening, everyone.
Good
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you.
How she's finding time to do this, I don't know, because she has 6 children, just to give you a
Oof.
heads up.
Wow.
How old are they?
So I have 16, 15, 11, 9, 8, and 7, almost 8 months.
Woo.
Wow.
More power to you.
Right? Oh, Lord.
I'm one of 7.
I'm struggling. I'm
I don't
struggling.
know how my mom did it with what we have. There's no way.
I'm trying to make it with 3. God bless you. Trying to hold on.
That's why I love to go to work.
That's amazing. That's beautiful, though.
Thank you very much.
Do you live in East Stroudsburg or outside the district?
I do. I have 3 that go to ESC and I have 2 that go to High School South.
Nice. Okay.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. I see that everybody in the committee is on. I see Dr. V. Hey, Rich. Okay, we're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you for that. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Wonderful. Can we have a roll call, please?
Jessica's new. You do
You're
that, Jessica.
muted.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm struggling to get unmuted all at once. Is George Andrews present?
President,
Sorry, give me just a moment. Rebecca Bear,
Present.
Dr. Tamari Bonilla,
Present.
Debbie Kulik.
Present.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Welcome to the committee. Thanks everybody else for joining us as well. Happy to have you this evening. We're going to go ahead and request an approval of the agenda and the minutes for this evening. So I'll go a little bit slow, Jessica, just to make sure that you are able to follow. Thank you for that reminder, Rebecca. So I'm gonna request a motion to approve the agenda for today's meeting, November 4th, 2020, with members of the committee reserving the right to add to the agenda, take further action in the best interest of the district.
So moved.
Thank you,
Second.
George.
Second, Rebecca.
Thank you, Rebecca. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes from our October 7th, 2020 meeting?
So
Moved.
moved.
I heard Debbie and George second.
Yes.
Thank you. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, Ms. Piparato and Dr. Vituli, I'm gonna hand it over to you. And Ms. Lurie, I saw that you were on for the DEI committee update along on the agenda. So I'm gonna mute myself and hand it over.
Okay, I guess the first item you have here is curriculum audit. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know if we've had discussions with Heather. Heather, have you had discussions at all regarding the intent of this particular?
Sure.
item?
So this one actually kind of merges with number 2 because that really falls under the auspices of the DEI committee. And, we started that work on the ground. It was very organic, which is great. And now we've taken a quick breath to kind of lean back and say, all right, let's organize our work around some areas that we want to be sure, because we want to do the work, but we also want to be sure that we're accountable for the work that we do and accountable for the results that we get. So I was thinking maybe we could go to the DEI update. Trinae, Terry, if you want to give an overview kind of what we've done. And then if you wanted to have me talk or you talk about the 5 areas that we identified as needs for the district, then I can put that curriculum audit piece in there.
Thank you. Yes, I will have you speak about that because you handled that very well and put that document together with great ease, it seems, from how I look at it. But thank you so much for allowing me to speak tonight. Thank you, everyone. So the DEI committee, we meet monthly, and we are actually going to be meeting bi-monthly going forward, just because the work that we're doing requires a little bit more of our time. And it's something that we would like to make sure that we're doing consistently and fluently when we meet. So we've been meeting, like I said, bi-monthly at this point, but we have increased our members and it's exciting work. So today, Wednesdays now have been designated up until January till now, for now, until we move forward into what's going to happen, after January. But Wednesdays have been scheduled for different cohorts to come and receive DEI training. And that began today. I did cohort 1 and cohort 2, and it went extremely well. A lot of great feedback already. People are interested, looking forward to other sessions coming up. So that began as of today. And there's been people that have been scheduled already who have had the opportunity to sign up as that document went out, I want to say about 2 weeks ago now. And people had the opportunity to sign up and have been doing pretty consistently, as it looks to me. So I think we're on a great path right now to what we're doing, that we're being consistent and deliberate in the work that we're doing. And Heather's going to speak about our 5 objectives and the document that she created to kind of organize us a little bit more with our goals. And then we have people are going to be able to decide what committees they want to be on and all of those things to make us more organized in that way. So the work continues, but is done in a more organized way.
Great, thank you. So it's an honor to be a member of this committee. And what we did is look at the kind of grassroots efforts that came out from, I'm going to say this past summer, but even before that. I mean, much of this work has been started in terms of thinking, even in terms of last year. So looking at what the committee wrapped their minds around, we developed 5 focus teams that members are going to be signing up or are signing up for this week. So the first focus, Trinae already reported a little bit on, and that was helping to create a more inclusive school climate through training as a first step of our faculty and staff. So that those training efforts have started already. And then that team will also be determining some baseline climate data so that we can see whether or not we've improved it as a result of the training of our staff. And this is just initial training. Obviously, we've got, these are large, complex, uncomfortable issues. So a one-time training isn't going to do it, right? But it fertilizes the soil. It gets that soil all ready for the seeds that we hope to plant. Focus number 2 is to help develop hiring processes that diversify our faculty and staff. So that focus team is going to be helping to do those things, weave those things into our hiring processes. Focus number 3 is this focus team will help develop learning experiences that allow our students to make personal connections with class content. And so under this team, we would see things like the development of our elective curricular course, development of tools for adoption into the curriculum cycle. Those tools then, and this is where I'll talk about the curriculum audit, the development of those tools is going to be incorporated in our curriculum cycle so that the curriculum audit is an ongoing thing that happens routinely. So it's not just a one-time thing. It will be developed to make sure that we are looking at best practices in the field through the DEI lens, that we are looking at not just the curriculum through a DEI lens, but teaching and learning. It's not just what's in the textbook, it's how I teach it and how I present it to students, right? So that's a very important component that we want to be sure that in our curriculum cycle we hit. And then rubric, a curriculum mapping rubric we'd like to develop to assess the efforts of DEI as we develop our curriculum and curriculum mapping. So that's kind of the update on the curriculum audit, and it falls under that focus team number 3. Focus team number 4 is to help develop learning experiences that allow our students to competitively pursue post-high school goals, right? All of our work in committees goes back to that vision and mission statement that we have as a district. We want all students to competitively pursue post-high school goals. So how are we helping our historically underrepresented students to do that? This focus team is going to be engaging in that kind of work, and they already have started. If you remember, Mr. Bomar reported on the HBCU panel presenting last week before, I'm not even sure now. It's kind of melding together for our students.
October 14th.
Thank you, October 14th. And so that's one thing that will happen, but that focus team will develop that even more and see what else we can get done this year to help our students know what kind of possibilities they have after high school. And then if you look at those 4 areas, they hit a number of our mission objectives, but not all of them. So what we're saying is we think that we can get that work done this year. But in addition to that, then how do we decide what work there is to do in the coming years? Those of you who shared your qualitative experiences in Eastburg have really shared that we've got some work to do. So how do we make decisions about which efforts to start and which efforts to prioritize? So our focus team number 5 is going to be their task is to conduct a strategic audit of all of our mission objectives and our strategic strands to inform the overall DEI health of East Stroudsburg. So they're going to be doing data collections around our different processes in East Stroudsburg. And by the end of the year, recommending to the committee, these are the parts of our district where we could use the most help in moving forward in our DEI processes. So it's kind of a continual look at, let's make sure we have the right data, that we're looking at it and strategically focusing our efforts, especially because we've got partnerships with East Stroudsburg, with other school districts, with businesses. How do we leverage all of that to make the most impact in our DEI efforts in East Stroudsburg? So that's what the committee agreed to for now, and that's the work that they'll be doing around those 5 things this year.
Thank you, both of you. Thank you for the update. Does anybody have any questions on the committee? Okay, well, we will continue updating on the DEI journey as the committee moves along. It's an exciting opportunity for our district, a long time coming, and a lot of people playing an important role in advancing this important work. So thank you. Back to you, Heather.
Lost my agenda really quickly. I just have to bring
Oh,
it
there
up.
you are. The next topic is the crisis management update.
Okay, Dr. Bill, do you want to take this one?
Yes, pardon me, Dr. Bonilla, but are you looking for an update of our current situation regarding students and how their performance is going in both USACA and in our brick and mortar buildings?
Yeah, we'd like to just provide a general overview.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure because that's what I was assuming there. But so to date, we still have, and I'll start with the cyber program first. We still have 2,750 students in the cyber program. There are transitions taking place weekly. We have just come off a 2-week pause on transitions from both brick and mortar to ISACA and from ISACA to brick and mortar. We do that on a weekly basis. Generally, there's about 15 to 20 students that might move in one direction or the other, but it turns out that after that 2-week pause, as we wanted to wait till the end of the marking period, it appears we have a 2-to-1 movement still towards ISACA. So I think we've enrolled in this past week. We have signed up probably close to 80 to 100 new students, with maybe half of those students, maybe not even half of them, but about half of those students going back to the brick and mortar. So again, we're still getting more students in the cyber program than we are returning to the brick and mortar. Overall, there's been minimal situations that have come to my attention as far as issues. We are not hearing, I'm hearing a lot of good things regarding our program in both the brick and mortar and the ISACA. We still have a number of students in what we call our Schedule B program. That's our after school program. These were students that perhaps signed up late or came in late, maybe just enrolled in the school. They are generally getting assistance from teachers after the school day. So we still have a large number of students in there, but as there are openings in our day programs where the students basically start at 9 and around 3, we're filling those gaps and putting kids in there. We did finish marking period 1 as of yesterday. And I think overall, I think things have gone pretty well. It's been very quiet regarding that. I would like to say Trinae is one of our cyber teachers, correct? Trinae, you're Schedule B, I believe.
Yes, I am.
And can I just ask how it's going for you since we have you here?
Sure, Dr. V. It's actually going very well. I love the kids that I have. I have first grade. I have a consistent group. I have a caseload probably of about 13. I probably see 8 consistently daily that I see all the time. For the most part, everyone is on target and doing well. I have a couple that I feel need to move back to brick and mortar, and I've spoken with the parent, because just from what you see and what you know. But overall, I think it's going well. I mean, in the beginning, I was a little, I was like, this is a lot. But I mean, I wanted to help because I felt bad because I have a first grader. And to think that my first grader wouldn't have a teacher was like heartbreaking to me. So that's honestly what made me think about doing it, to be able to help and to be able to give those kids a face, and from working on the computer all day to actually be able to have someone to be able to see every day. So for me, it's going very well.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. I do want to recognize, like Trinae, there are so many teachers in our programs that are working so hard, much harder than ever anticipated. Not just during the school day, at night, doing a lot of extra effort to reach out and get a hold of parents, talk with students. So I just wanted to recognize all their efforts. And that's really all I have regarding that topic, unless you have questions.
Does anybody on the committee have questions?
No, just as a mom, it's going well for my kids as well. They're adapting well to their schedule of their off days and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, the learning curve was a little brutal, but I think we're getting over that.
Yeah, I think we've adjusted well to the hybrid model at home. The first couple of weeks were tough because, the juggling act, but it's going well. And we do want to acknowledge from all angles that the teachers are doing an amazing job with our students. And we really do appreciate their effort and the extra time that it's taking to manage the various groups that they're working with and just all of the dynamics. So thank you all for your efforts. The next agenda item is the Brain Pop for elementary schools.
So last meeting, we brought to you some pretty much secondary oriented virtual tools. I'm not going to say completely secondary, but most of them were probably secondary oriented. This month, we have a couple of items. The first one here is Brain Pop for the elementary program. The elementary program, and I'm probably going to turn this over to Tabitha. I believe she's on with us tonight. But the elementary program needs some science and social studies support and for our students that are learning both in the classroom and at home. And Brain Pop has been used throughout the district for a while, here and there. In fact, I used it for a number of years as an elementary principal at Smithfield with tremendous success. And I mean tremendous success because we used it for our science program to help with the PSSAs, which we constantly and consistently scored in the 90 percentile using this program. So we wanted to bring it to your attention. Let me see.
Are you going to want a recommendation from the committee on this item tonight?
I am going to ask for that if I can get it. I apologize if I'm not following procedure.
No, that's fine.
But we are
How does the
looking
subscription work?
I'm sorry?
How does the subscription work?
Well, we go out to all the schools, all the elementary schools would get it. It's prorated just for the rest of this year. It is Tabitha negotiated with the company to get us a reduced price. And I'm not sure I provided you with a quote, but it is an $8,000 item that we intend to, if you approve it, we'll, eventually, if the board approves it, we'll put it through our ESSERS or one of the other pandemic related grants that we have.
Right, that's the question. What's the cost and where is it coming from? And
Right.
I don't know, Dr. Bradley, if you want to give us an update based on your negotiation.
Right, is it like per student, per teacher? How does it work?
Let's let her give us an update and then we can ask more questions.
So first, forgive me. My mother moved in with us last week and her cat and my 2 chihuahuas, and it's been quite a dynamic here in the Bradley household. So I apologize if you hear an uproar of barking or chaos. We are trying to keep everyone with sound to a minimum, but forgive me if anything goes awry.
No worries. This is the norm for everybody, so no worries, please.
Thank you, Tamari. So yes, I have to say, starting back in March, I kept hearing brain pop, brain pop, brain pop. So why? As you may or may not know, we had a design team that established the instructional activities and processes for all of our students, K to 5 across the district, in our Learn from Home program. So what that means is we had a team of teachers who came together every week, designed the content for our choice boards, and tested the links, did everything prepared to make sure all the materials were working, could open from a Chromebook, all those pieces. And what we found was when they were working on that content was we really struggled to find science and social studies materials that had instructional videos that would allow students to have some opportunities to interact, view videos from home, and also have some opportunities to have some formative assessments, make some videos, concept maps, and different activities like that. We were able to pull together from a variety of free resources. Brain Pop had some free resources. We struggled a little bit with students being able to log in at that time because we were trying to use the free version of Brain Pop in the spring. That was where the original request for it was. One nice piece I forgot to add was when we were able to use some of the free service in the spring, they had a paper version, which if you recall, that was a very big concern of ours, was if we were providing a digital version of our learning for our families, we did have non-digital students that we needed to be able to provide like activities for that we would be able to print and send home for them. And that was something that we really enjoyed about the free pieces. We could print transcripts, we could print the same activities for students who didn't have computer access and send those home when we were working with the non-digital packets each week. When we started to plan in August for the we again brought together our design team and asked them to design some exemplar lessons for the first 3 weeks of school so that when our teachers came back, they wouldn't have to begin that initial planning. They would have the 3 weeks by each grade level planned for them and ready to roll out with our, as you know, the template that we use for each daily activity set. And again, the cry for Brain Pop and the ability to have access to quality aligned K to 5 science and social studies in particular resources. Now, what we didn't mention was with that we also have the ability to access English language arts, math, science, SEL, and there are some other options of activities. There is coding in there now. They have some really great resources. So how did we get to this point? We have a small group of students in the district right now who need online only instruction who are not ASACA students. And so we were really working to try to find offline asynchronous learning experiences for them as per what they needed. And again, this was an opportunity for me to say, all right, let's take a look at this resource and see what it has to offer. So in working with the company, they have provided us with the ability to use the product through mid to late January with this small group of students. And with the good graces of Mr. Borosh, we set that into motion and provided that resource for this select group of about 12 regular education teachers and probably, I would say, about 50 students that needed this particular service as a way to kind of check it out and test it with our own students and our faculty. And for those, we didn't make it mandatory, we just made it as an option. And again, like I said, that would give us a chance to look at some of the features up close and personal. And feedback I've received so far is, you know, we told them we can only use it with the specific group of students. And of course, they right away would like to say, you know, can I use it with all my students? Which if the committee is willing or agrees to take this to vote, the company actually gave us the opportunity to use it with all teachers and all students through January, mid-January. We didn't open it up to that whole group because we wanted to speak to you first. If that were the case, they did negotiate originally a price tag of $15,000, but said they would prorate it for us. So the prorated price of around $8,000, as Dr. V stated, would be from January on, but we would be able to enroll, all teachers and students as soon as we get approval. And then we would get the 3 months free, and then the reduced price to allow the teachers, with the understanding that we're using this right now because we know that we really need that digital access and quality materials for students to use from home, and that wouldn't be something that would automatically come every year. I think it would be, what I'm hearing so far is it's very user-friendly. It is aligned to our standards. There are sections where you can sort by standard and easily assign in Google Classroom. It's seamlessly integrated there for teachers, and they can sort by subject and topic, and it is very engaging and student user-friendly. So I hope I provided you with enough information to get you started, and then if you have questions, I'll try to answer, and if I can't, I'll make sure I get an answer for you.
Thank you. I'm going to ask the committee if they have questions, but I'd like to ask you, what would you recommend, or what's the benefit that you would see for using it with the select students versus with all students? And I'll preface that by saying that as a parent, we did enjoy Brain Pop when we used it at home. When it worked, there were some items you couldn't access, but it was very user friendly, and we actually enjoyed using it.
Thank you. Well, I didn't want to open it up to all students and staff and then have not be able to purchase it in January and then say, okay, sorry, you can't have it anymore. So like I said, we wanted to just limit it, and we did not put it in Clever initially, because if you do that, then everyone will see it, and we didn't want anyone to feel as though, oh, I see it, but I can't use it. So we would open it up to all students and family staff, from the point that Mr. Borish says it's appropriate and we can upload and do that integration piece for all. But like I said, I didn't want to open that up until we had a chance to talk to you about it and make sure that it was something that you would feel that you would be in support of.
Okay, but once we discuss it and if we approve it, then you would be wanting to use it for all students. Okay.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yep.
Wanted to hear your recommendation. Do members of the committee have questions?
I have one of Rebecca.
I was asking, so we pay per student, correct?
No, I was going to ask you, is there a form that they got to fill out to get through Finance Committee?
There is. It has to go from here to the finance and then to the board.
Yeah, that's right. So there's a form that they have to fill out.
No, they just move. We just motion it to our agenda, George, and then it goes to the finance committee, and then the finance committee motions to pay for it and bring it to the next meeting.
I thought because $8,000 there was a form that they had to fill out, and that goes to the Finance Committee. And then
George, I think you might be speaking of the 611 form for Tom McIntyre, for Mr. McIntyre. Yeah, anything that involves money, we have to run through that, and it is on there. So Mr. McIntyre does have that.
Okay,
right. So that question is about process. Thank you for answering, Dr. V. I'd like for the questions to be directed to Dr. Bradley about the program, and then we can talk about what's next if we decide to make a motion for a recommendation.
That was my question. Is it per student or is it per teacher?
This would be a site license for the 6 different schools.
Okay, so it's different than like the Google one we had where it was per student. This is just a licensing.
Correct.
So if we have more students enroll in the district, mid-year, we don't have to pay again to add more.
That is correct. That's correct. I also like to add that it does come in Spanish. The children can utilize both Spanish and French.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Dr. V. It would include the subscription we got is not limited to Brain Pop. It is also Brain Pop Junior, which is the K-3 version, and Brain Pop ELL, which are all part of what they were offering us for that price. So thank you for mentioning that, Dr. Vituli.
Sure thing.
Would there be any plans for using that, or would it just be an additional resource for the families?
I have not spoken to Ms. Kuiper, our EL teacher. I'm sure she would be thrilled to have another resource, especially in the circumstances that we're in. And it is nice to have things available for families to use at home. Again, we were looking at it as a K-5 resource in general, and then we certainly could reach out. And they've already been very accommodating with free professional development. Tomorrow, in fact, the folks who are working in the that small group are having a free session in the morning. And so well, actually the coaches rather. And I know that we could easily get some support for the EL department or any, groups that were interested. I'd be happy to ask him to throw that in for us. The rep is a graduate of East Stroudsburg too, I might add.
Yay.
Oh, that's wonderful. We love that. A question about the professional development. Will we have more access to professional development with that licensing, or is it the same across the board?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
You said there's a session tomorrow.
Oh, yes. That's just for the small group to make sure that they're up and running. But he has, Dr. Vituli may have it on the invoice in front of him. I'm not the quote, but they have committed to provide us additional professional development for all staff once they're on board. But this was a small group to get us started.
Okay.
And make sure that they're comfortable with the use. Yeah, although they've already, they've only had it, I believe, again, like Ms. Piperato said, the weeks kind of meshed together, but we've already had 342 logins with that small group of students that's using it right now in a very short amount of time. And that's before professional development. So teachers weren't obligated, as you know, to use it based on contract. It was only a tool that we wanted to provide for that group that was looking for additional resources to support those students. And with that information, when I pulled the statistics today, that's pretty impressive for just a short amount of time and not an opportunity to have official, training. So that says a lot about their interest in using it.
That was
Are they
wonderful.
using it just for science, or are they using it for all subjects?
Right now, they're using it for science and social studies. That's a good question, because the group that in particular that we're talking about, they're working with students who would be accessing a regular education teacher for science and social studies specifically. So that's where we're trying to bridge the gap for students who are choosing to be completely remote, but the ASACA isn't, the Edgenuity rather, isn't an appropriate route for them.
You're on mute.
That was all I had, sorry.
Oh, okay.
I was just muting in the event someone barked until I got another question.
Oh, okay. I thought it was okay. George, Debbie, do you have any, Debbie, we haven't heard from you. Do you have any questions or comments? And then George, do you have any questions about the content?
No,
It was pretty clear. Tabitha did a great job of explaining it.
Thank you. Debbie?
I'll follow up in writing because I know it's difficult to hear me when I speak.
Okay. Rebecca, do you have any more questions?
Just making, so the subscription can be for all the subjects, right? Like you said, and we're just using science right now. So once we get it, the teachers can play with it and find more uses for it, which will be good.
Absolutely, and they can look at it now. The ones in this small group, we're just the students that they're servicing only need those two subjects. So I would be surprised if they didn't take a look around at some of the other subjects to see what it offered. But right now they're infusing it for those two in particular. But it's open to all those right now. And I will add.
No, and that's a good point. If we make the investment, we want to be sure that we use it to the maximum.
Absolutely. I will say that although we have Reading Wonders online, that's one thing we learned in Learn From Home. There are a lot of interactive activities with the Reading Wonders digital tool. However, there's not any instruction, if you will, videos. Like where Go Math, there's some little characters and students can click in their interactive student edition. There's different places in Go Math where they can actually review a subject and have instruction. Reading Wonders does lack that. So this is also, I mean, I'm thinking about, if we had more planning that we needed to do remotely, there is a great resource right there in the ELA that we did discover was something we were lacking in our current digital tool for Reading Wonders as well. So not something that we anticipated having a void for, but certainly discovered when we were in that situation.
Wonderful. Thank you. The
Thank you.
next agenda item is the ELL program.
Hey, it was late last year and early this year, I should say, Dr. Bonilla, that some of the secondary ESL specialists approached me. They had stumbled upon in their search for a new curriculums because of their current need and their current curriculum no longer being in print. They stumbled upon a product through Middlebury Language, which happens to be a subsidiary of Edgenuity, that provides ELL curriculum for secondary students. I was able to get them access to the entire program with demo accounts and such, and they had plenty of time to review it and check it over. And they did come back to me for request to purchase this as their new curriculum usage for the next year. I did ask them to provide me with some, detail as to what they did and why they like it. In addition, how many students are needed. So they did get back to me, and our secondary ESL specialists are Lori Barry, Evelyn Reveron, Martina Matthias, and they went through this program and found it to be very suitable for the middle school and high school needs. They said it's extremely flexible, a very adaptable program. It can be used online or in person, either synchronously or asynchronously. They've asked that we look into this immediately because they are in urgent need to find a replacement for their previous ESL program, which was the Keystone series. They said is no longer available. So they went through it again, gave me some pros and cons to this program. They did say it aligns well with the WIDA standards and access testing prep. They said they felt it was a very beneficial update to the curriculum to replace that Keystone series that is no longer again available. There was, they felt many prompts to guide students. They said it was very interactive and motivating for the students, very age appropriate, had scaffolding opportunities, provided vocabulary and writing support for students, allowed for data collection, progress monitoring, both in class and cyber instruction for English language learners. I already mentioned it was very flexible, small group, large group. It addressed the 4 domains of reading, writing, speaking, listening. They thought it would be a very cohesive program for both North and South secondary schools, as well as the ISACA program. They thought it would also allow us to transition students more easily from junior high to high school. Allowed for a standardization of the curriculum between the 2 campuses. And it was obviously a complementary product to the Edgenuity courses. A couple of cons, they only had 2 cons, is this program, does the program have a translation feature for text, so level 1 and level 2 ELLs can toggle back and forth between English and their home language? Evidently, I don't think we've got an answer on that just yet. And then for ESL students attending ISACA, does the program have a screening placement test for them to level the children? But that wouldn't necessarily be necessary since we already have a screener for that. So again, a program that they found very, very good. There's a need for just under 50 students right now. I have received a quote for a year's subscription to this. It is by student. The quote I have is for 50 students at $99 a piece. There's also a scheduled or a professional development that to be scheduled for an additional $850. The entire item comes to $5,800. Again, it was something that they stumbled upon. I knew nothing about it. I just did the research to provide them and get them access to it. And they did really do an extensive amount of work to make sure it would fill their needs.
So you're going to be looking for a recommendation for this as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and the $5,800, is that the cost for the 50 students that you have right now? Is that under
Plus the
50 students at the moment?
Correct, plus the
Plus the
professional
setup.
development. Mhm. And this because it is not due to the pandemic, this would come out of the curriculum budget.
Is this replacing something that in the curriculum? So we're not going to be paying something else and then we'll be paying for this. So it's almost like a wash because it's already in the budget for the previous program.
So Rebecca, I am not familiar with the Keystone series. And honestly, it's the specialist told me that the Keystone series, which they had been using up to this year, is no longer available. I can only assume that maybe ran out over the summer or something. I'm not sure. And I do apologize for not having more history on that, but that would be my understanding, that there is nothing else to buy anymore, right?
What's the timeline on this? Are they already using it, or right now, are they actively using it, or are they waiting for guidance?
They are waiting for approval. The only access they have, Dr. Bonilla, is through the demo accounts, which
Okay.
does provide, some access for them and their students. But other than that, they do not have anything.
So in response to Rebecca's question, this will be replacing something else that was previously in the budget?
I can only say that I can't tell you, I can't say that with 100% confidence because I don't know where the Keystone series, I don't know when that ended. I don't believe it to be in my budget this year, from what I can tell. It should be because it was no longer in use.
I believe it was a print resource, and it was not on a subscription basis. And so you wouldn't see a recurring yearly cost. When it was purchased, it was that one-time cost. Then I know Mr. Moran had it in the budget because knowing it was going to expire, he had budgeted for a curriculum renew this year.
You froze, Heather. Heather's frozen.
Okay. I thought it was me because I was getting the alert that my connection was unstable, but it sounded like she said it was included by Mr. Moran in the budget, and we
Right.
haven't had that discussion recently.
Right. And I'm sure once we move it forward to Mary, if we do, they'll bring it to the finance committee. So we'll figure out if it was budgeted for or not, and then go from there.
I can do some research
Okay.
to determine.
So we've lost Heather?
I think Demary's
Can you hear
frozen
me?
now. There you go, Demary. What'd you say?
Yeah, I do hear you. I'm sorry. I came into something Rebecca was saying. The internet connection is laggy. Can you repeat that?
So I said, I guess if we want to move it forward tonight, we can, and then he can let the finance committee know if it was budgeted for when it comes to us. That's fine too.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea since they're waiting for guidance. And that's what I was starting to say is it sounds like Heather said Mr. Moran had incorporated that into the budget. And I was saying we haven't had the budget discussion recently because we've been looking at the programs and curriculum audit and all of
Right.
that. So I think that's a good strategy so that we can get this moving for the benefit of the students. And then we can revisit after the board reorganization meeting based on who's on the education committee, what we need to look at to be able to plan well. That sounds good. Okay, Dr. V and team, do you have anything else?
I have nothing at this time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do members of the committee have any questions on either this last piece or anything else on the agenda before we open up for public participation?
I don't.
Yes. You don't, George?
No, I don't have anything else. No.
Oh, okay. I thought you said I have one. Okay, so we're gonna open it up for public participation. Is there anybody that has a comment or a question? I'm not seeing any. Rich, I know you're on. I don't know if you have any comments or questions. If you do, feel free to come in.
Hey, folks, nothing to say. I think you guys did a great job. Good review. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich, and thank you for coming on. Well, if we don't have anything else, Dr. Riker, do you have anything that you want to share? You've been quietly listening into your teams. Good updates here.
No, they've done a great job, Dr. Bonilla. Thank you. I would just add for the committee's update that the administration, the central admin, is studying our return options as we move closer towards the second semester. And we are going to be looking to present some ideas to the committee probably in the month of December or January. That's pretty aggressive, but I know, well, January isn't because that is the start of the second semester near the end. Not that we are recommending we would change anything we're doing at the present time. Obviously, whatever the conditions are in our communities at that time would be a determining factor, but I just want the committee to be aware that we are working diligently on that and we're looking at all potential options so that we're prepared for whatever decisions the board needs to make as we move forward through the rest of the year. So thank you.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Riker, and very timely, as I know there are rumors going around. Often rumors circulate very quickly before we're able to get news and information out. But several individuals have been approached and asked about the upcoming holidays and if there has been a change of plan and kind of where we are. So that's why we wanted to provide an update today. So thank you. Ms. Piparato, welcome back. No worries. I froze a little bit as well, the internet access. But is there anything that you wanted to share before we move to advisory board recommendations?
Thank you. No, I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for always sharing when called on and just doing such a great job. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move to advisory recommendations for consideration by the board. We have two items that we are seeking recommendations for. The first is Brain Pop for the elementary school program at a prorated cost of $8,000 beginning in January to cover 6 schools, grades K through 5, 3 months free. And that would be coming out of the ESSERS grant and includes free professional development to help our staff get up and running with program usage, includes the additional resources for Spanish and French. Do I hear a motion?
A motion to move it to the finance committee, yes.
Second, Deb.
Okay, thank you, Rebecca. Thank
And
you,
Debbie
Debbie.
seconded it.
Yes, thank you. Everybody who is in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carries. We're gonna ask that you complete the form, the paperwork for the Finance Committee for this item. The second one that we're seeking recommendation is for the ELL program, the Middlebury language at $99 per student. We're at under 50 students at the moment with the cost of $5,800, including professional development. And that's coming out of the education budget with the understanding that tonight's recommendation to move it to the Finance Committee for review would include more detail on the budgetary aspects by Dr. Vituli and his team. Do I hear a motion?
So moved. Rebecca.
Thank you, Rebecca. Do I have a second?
Debbie.
Thank you, Debbie. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay, motion carries. Both of those items will be moved on to the Finance Committee for review. The next meeting of the Education Committee will be determined after the board reorganization happening during the first week of December. Depending on who is on the committee, there will be a determination about what dates and times the group will meet. And of course, we'll keep the public informed and hope that there is continued involvement from the community and our educators and just all of the wonderful support that we've had for this committee. It's been an amazing year from our first meeting at the beginning of the year. We've done some good work together. And so hopefully that momentum will continue. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you, George. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Rebecca. Nobody wants the meeting to end.
We just love coming here every night, every week, right?
Awesome. Thank you all. Have a wonderful evening and a good rest of week.
Have a good evening,
All right.
everyone.
You
Good night,
too. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Night.
Night,
Thanks.
everyone.
Good night. Thank you.
Thanks again.
Good night.
Trinae, thank you, Trinae.
You're welcome. Thank you, Dr. V. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night. Thank you.